And you are looking live as the fans are filing in to Paul Brown Stadium as we are on the river here in Cincinnati, Ohio, as the Cincinnati Bengals have their first home game of the American Football Association, and they will be hosting the defending Season 1 champion Oakland Raiders. It is the American Football Association on YouTube right here on the AFA Network. How's it going, everybody? Cameron Duty here with you. I am beyond excited to see what we have in store today. Two teams that had pretty decent outings to start week one. And to be frank with you, the Raiders losing a stunner in week one, to the Patriots. Meanwhile, the Bengals escape with the victory in week one over the expansion Steelers. And so two teams right here. They are in a, not certainly a crossroads, it's just week two, but going in maybe two different directions. They want to stop the slide for the Raiders. They want to stop the losing skid. And for the Cincinnati Bengals, they want to keep the winning streak going. So let's have some fun. Welcome in, as always, here in the AFA Network. We want to just be able to provide you with the best sim football around, and I think we are well on our way to doing it. The kickoff is underway with a return coming here quickly. A fumble that's going to go the way of the Oakland Raiders, and that is not how you want to start if you're the Cincinnati Bengals. No, sir. And so what we thought was going to be the Bengals starting lineup that we'll be introducing. Instead, we'll go right to Brady White and the Oakland Raiders, as it is a 1st and 10 coming with Brady White under center. Three receivers to the left side. Here's White throwing, has a man, complete to Cush Marley for the first down. Boy, what an incredible start to this day that we've already had here. And the fact is, the Bengals coming in, they're hyped, they're in their home, their jungle here at Paul Brown Stadium. And instead of finding themselves with the football and the opportunity to score first today, a special teams turnover, and the Raiders are inside the 10-yard line. A run coming here from Ashton Genty, and that will be just a couple, 2nd and goal coming up. The rest of the starting lineup for the Raiders, the halfbacks, as I aforementioned, Ashton Genty and Matt Jackson. The wide receivers are Dillian Voss, Cush Marley, and Brian Kowalski. And at guard, it's Jackson Oakley. As we have a 2nd and goal on the way here. Handoff to Tangenti, who again is stuffed at the line. Good run defense for the Bengals. Let's introduce the Bengals defense. The defensive tackles are Sergeant Duracell and John Johnson. The middle linebacker is Brody White, and the outside linebacker is the Joker. The free safety is Cam Sadscat. At strong safety, it's Armani Lassiter. Big 3rd down play. Brady, back corner, end zone, and touchdown. Up and over goes Cush Marley. He had the advantage, the height advantage there, and his veteran quarterback, Brady White, simply giving him a chance at it. And you see, as it's one-on-one coverage on the outside there, number 27 of the Bengals honestly never felt like he had a chance in that one-on-one matchup. And so here comes Dan Dempsey, the Raiders kicker, to attempt the extra point. And it is good. And we talk about it each and every week. Points off turnover and just how important that it is to the success of any team here in the AFA. And this one certainly is no exception. The Bengals unfortunately spot the Oakland Raiders 7 points. It's 6:41 remaining in the first, just a minute 19 into regulation here as we have a run back out to the 23-yard line. That's Rex Jordan of the Bengals with the return. Now, let's say hello to the Bengals starting lineup led by quarterback Eric Alexander. The fullback is Thaddeus Bubba Rigg. Keep an eye on him today. And his halfback, Arnold Simpson, who had an incredible opening day last week. Also in the backfield, you'll have Rex Jordan. The wide receivers are Santiago Jaquez, Emmett Ellis, and Katron Thomas. And at tight end, it's Ace Milley. As Alexander going to go to the air, and it's incomplete. Defended nicely by Tatron Thomas. We'll introduce this Raiders defense to you. Defensive end, number 99, O.J. Peppers. And defensive tackle, number 71, Colin Richards. The linebackers, DeMarcus Demolition and Harold Marquez. Marquez, a new addition here. The cornerbacks are Tater Tots and Tatron Thomas. And at free safety, it's Van Lacey.
Second and 10. Ball at the Bengals 23-yard line.
So Alexander off the mark as he went to the air immediately. He'll go back again on second down, throwing and an out route, not reeled in, unfortunately, for those Bengals faithful, hoping to see Santiago Jaquez come up with a acrobatic sideline catch, not able to do it. And it brings up 3rd and 10.
Ball at the Bengals 23-yard line.
Now trips to the left side. Alexander goes under center. Here's the snap. He's going to fire this one in and makes it stick as he finds Santiago Jaquez. And a big gain on 1st and 10. And you know, that's one of the reasons that the Bengals went for him in the draft this season as these players were realigned. Jaquez has that innate ability to even in traffic as he was completely locked down by Tater Tots, and he still was able to find a way to grab that football and get a first down reception. Keeping the Bengals drive alive, they go back to the ground here this time. It is the big Bubba Rigg running for 8, bulldozing people along. You love to see it. And it brings up 2nd and 2. We'll get a good look here on the sky cam. Good blocking out front. And then after that, it's just pursuit. And you see, even at that, honestly, the best that they could do was push him out of bounds. Bubba Rigg is a tough guy to get down, and if you don't get him around the legs or the ankles, he can really run through those upper hits, those upper blows there. So 2nd and 2, we'll see what the Bengals decide to do. They give it to the halfback for the first time today. That is Arnold Simpson. Arnold had an incredible first week of the season with a lot of touches and a lot of yards gained. He's seen the end zone, more than some teams have in an entire season. Or at least it's what it feels like anyway, as he was running over the competition there. Alexander throws tipped and batted away. It's 2nd and 10. Good defensive pressure coming from the big man up front from the Oakland Raiders. And we said it at the end of the game last week between the Patriots and the Raiders. We literally said, I feel sorry for the team that has to come in and prep for a hungry Oakland team that is not used to losing. And when they lost to the Patriots last week, you knew that it was going to reignite a spark there, and that pass is off the mark. It was intended for the halfback coming out of the backfield, and Arnold Simpson and his offensive lineman kind of talking things over there. And once more, Cincinnati is faced with a 3rd and 10 situation.
3rd and 10.
So, Not what you want to see if you are the Bengals here, having to be in third and long multiple times in this game. But we'll see if Alexander can dig them out of a hole. And he can! And how does he do it? In triple coverage. He fits a tight throw in there to Santiago Jaquez. That is a true thing of beauty. And again, this is twice on this drive, third and long, bailing his team out. Look at Jaquez. You know, we talked about Brady White and Cush Marley there, the relationship that they have developed, and Brady White having the confidence and being comfortable with just throwing the ball up to see if Cush Marley can bring it down. Here with Eric Alexander, and in the backfield goes Arnold Simpson, and it's the big bruising DeMarcus Demolition, who with an incredible pursuit busts through that offensive line, he shed the block completely. Look at this. As a matter of fact, when untouched, the offensive lineman missed DeMarcus Demolition, and you see that it results in a 5-yard loss. So 1 step forward, 2 steps back at the moment for the Cincinnati Bengals. 2nd and 15. Man going in motion here. That's Emmett Ellis. Alexander looks his way, sidelines. Oh, he makes a man miss and turns upfield. How in the world Emmett Ellis, the big man, able to make such an agile move on the sidelines? I'll never know. Watch him line up here. He goes out on a little stutter step route and then just runs right around Tatron Thomas. Just like he grabbed hold of the steering wheel there and dropped it into a lower gear. Or maybe a higher gear. I'm not a real gearhead. 1st and 10 coming. 4 minutes remaining here for the Bengals in the first quarter here on this drive. Alexander throwing, tipped away. Tatron Thomas gets the better end of that play after getting burned on the previous one. He comes back with a nice response. And it'll bring up 2nd and 10. Folks, we want to remind you, as you watch this week's games, of course, to please like and share these videos. We would love it if you all are able to share these videos to your social media pages. Let everybody know how you're spending your evening watching the best sim football around. There's Jaquez again on a nice little a post route, I guess you would have it there, as we'll get a chance to watch Alexander survey the field. It's an out route, and you see Jaquez in space working the underneath as Oakland was dropped back in coverage. As we get a player profile here on Santiago Jaquez. 1st and 10 for the Bengals. Boy, this has been a time-consuming drive, no doubt, and a drive that has seen a little bit of everything up to this point. Now, look at Arnold Simpson. Looked like he's going to be stopped about 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage as he hesitated and waited for something to develop. And I called, mention to that play, giving credit to what Simpson did, because that really did look like it was going to be a negative play. He somehow finds a way to get 2 yards out of it. 2nd and 8. Alexander with a good pocket. Now going to fire, and he throws the interception. Oh, my goodness. Man, and that, not much more stings any worse than that for a football team, as Harrison dropping back here, and you can see going for Emmett Ellis, and he decides, I'll take that, thank you very much. Obviously, Alexander was looking, and he's seen Tatron Thomas with Emmett Ellis, but he did not see Harrison underneath. And so a drive that has taken the greater portion of this first quarter ends with no score for the Cincinnati Bengals. No points on the board, and Brady White goes back to work. Fires deep, has a man, and a missed tackle, and this is where it gets concerning right here. When you play against these Raiders, Brian Kowalski, the man who was the recipient of a beautiful Brady White throw, the Raiders can flip the field in no time at all. Now already back into Bengals territory. As White to throw, it is off the mark, incomplete. The Bengals have already committed 2 turnovers in the game, and we are, unfortunately, for those Cincinnati fans, not out of the first quarter yet. They'll try to tighten it up here
Ball at the 35.
with a big defensive stand. 4-man front, 2nd and 6 now coming. As we've got Cush Marley going in motion. Taking the snap is Brady White. He fires. He throws an interception. It's coming back the other way. Neutralizing that turnover is the Cincinnati Bengals defense. They're also going to get a face mask tacked onto the end of it. As you could see, that was a rough-looking play there. As Ashton Genty grabbed the face mask and ripped it pretty much in a 180-degree angle, it seemed like anyway, in real time. So add some extra yards to that for the Cincinnati Bengals as they now have the ball back after Brady White commits his first interception of the day. Here comes the big Bubba Rig powering forward for a gain of 6. That guy right there, between himself and Arnold Simpson, they are going to be keys, not just in this game, but all season long for the Cincinnati Bengals team. Nothing against any of these wideouts or the quarterback. It's certainly known that these studs in the backfield are going to have a lot to do with how this game turns out. And that's one of the reasons Bubba Rig, he can run the football, he can catch the football, and when he gets out in open spaces, so hard to bring down. And another 1st and 10. Look at Alexander here. Throwing that nicely, waiting on the pressure to come, but he gets rid of the ball as that fullback screen works to perfection. A 1st and 10 now, just outside of the 15-yard line for the Cincinnati Bengals. Tight formation here. 2 receivers as we see Emmett Ellis now moving over. 1 man in the backfield. Here's the snap. Alexander throws, tight window, but he gets it in there. 7-yard gain as he looks in the way of Emmett Ellis. And these Raiders, they certainly have their work cut out for them defending against the likes of, as we mentioned, Santiago Jaquez, Emmett Ellis, and the young Katron Thomas. Of course, the tight end Ace Millie, don't forget about him. So the Bengals certainly have a lot of good wideouts there too. Alexander floats this one up, back corner, and off the hands of Santiago Jaquez. I thought for a moment he was going to be able to reel that one in, and that was a beautiful throw. But Tater Tots comes up at the very end here, and watch him, because it looks like Jaquez has this and just puts his hand in there ever so slightly. And he's able to make the big play to bring up 3rd and 3 here. Now, if I'm play calling for the Bengals, I got to think, 3 short yards to get. Is this where you give it to the big Bubba Rig, or do you hand it off to Arnold Simpson? There's a man in motion. And Alexander will throw. He throws short, and the pass is incomplete. As that play, maybe we'll get a couple of some question marks raised there as to that play on 3rd down instead of lining it up and using your big halfbacks. But nevertheless, the Bengals now with an opportunity to get some points off of the interception with Nick Jackson here, their kicker. The snap and the hold, the kick, everything about that is perfect. And the Bengals are on the board. So, able to, and really and truly, they've had both drives down here around this same side of the field. The first one stalling out with an interception. This one, the defense is able to take over. But Cincinnati does get on the board with 40 seconds remaining in the opening quarter. And Oakland leads 7-3. And here's the kick. A kneel down in the back of the end zone by the Raiders running back Matt Jackson. And Brady White will come out to start this next drive, trying to shake off that interception. Brady had a very rough outing in the first week with a bevy of interceptions that was certainly uncharacteristic of the Raiders' play. Looking to get back on the horse here, as they say. Got to step up, evade the pressure, but he does not get back to the line of scrimmage. And it is Jones who is able to bring him down. Rushton Jones, yeah, he had the quarterback rushing there. Look at this. Watch him step out. That's some nice agility by Brady White, who, we don't see him often get out of the pocket, but he is able to at least get close to the line and minimize the damage that looked as if it was about to be done. So 2nd and 11. White throwing, complete in a tight window, as he's able to find Kowalski. And he will get a good chunk there, and that will bring up 3rd and 2. And ladies and gentlemen, that is how we will head to the second quarter as we roll on here in the American Football Association for Season 2, Week 2. The Raiders lead the Bengals 7-3. Welcoming you back in. It's Cameron Duty here. Got the booth to myself today, usually accompanied by a great host of color commentators, but today you've got me for 4 quarters, at least by myself for a couple of quarters, as I kind of do a little foreshadowing there to what we have coming up. And I will announce that as we get closer to halftime. Oakland leading 7-3 here with the ball. 1st and 10. Split backs. Brady White is in shotgun. And here is Tangenti, who only gets back to the line of scrimmage. Good tackle made by big number 99, Sergeant Durasau. Offset eye coming for the Oakland Raiders as Brady White going to drop back, slings it over the middle, and off the mark, incomplete. That's one of the rare times that you see him and Cush Marley a little bit off in their route running there, their chemistry. And so it brings up 3rd and 10. And the Bengals with an opportunity to get the Raiders off the field, but listen, you can't put anything past Brady White and his crew right here. As we see Cush Marley moving from left to right. 3 receivers now lining up. Here comes Brady White, rolling left, throwing back to the right side, and that's why I said that. It is, again, another dime drawn up to Cush Marley. And I think of all the formations that we see Brady White in, that one might be one of the most dangerous. The bootleg rollout, looking left, comes back to the right side, and he hits Cush Marley in stride. Armani Lassiter was in coverage there, trying to go for the pick, but it is Marley who comes up tall. 1st and 10. Tangenti and stopped after a 2-yard gain. Brody White had a great game last week, and he actually was one of those defensive studs for the Cincinnati Bengals, and he makes the tackle there. 2nd and 8. Here's White throwing sidelines. It is reeled in but out of bounds. Therefore, bringing up a 3rd and 8 situation. Third and 8. Here's Brady White with a chance to sling it in there. Bat it away. The Bengals coverage holding up. It's Cam Sadscat, the free safety, cleaning up the end of that play. And the Raiders will have a chance to tack on 3 with their kicker, Dan Dempsey. A 32-yard attempt here from the left hash mark. The kick is up, and it's no good. It's wide right. Not sure if there was a little bit of a breeze there coming through the corridors of the stadium on that side, or if he just kind of hooked it. Oh, it's actually a doink there as it hits the very tip top of the upright. And the Raiders are not able to get any points on what was a pretty solid looking drive. And the score remains 7-3. Alexander for the Bengals throwing, and he finds Jaquez out to the 40. And boy, a great job here of Santiago Jaquez. He hasn't been here in Cincinnati, too very long, but this Cincinnati faithful are really loving this guy and what they see out of him. Bubba Rigg, or no, excuse me, that's Arnold Simpson on the rush. Not much there. Back to the drawing board they go. Like I said, Cameron Duty on the call with you right here. And then, as I said, I'm kind of doing a little bit of a foreshadowing. As I'll be joined by a special broadcaster coming up, and I'll let you know when. Alexander off his hands. He tried to step up and make the throw. I don't know where he intended for that one to go, but it looks to me like it just kind of slipped out of his hand. Thankfully, there was nobody there for the Raiders that could, run that one back. For all of these Cincinnati fans' sakes, right? But for you Raider fans out there, I know more than anything you would have loved to have seen that one going the other way. Here we go, 3rd and 9. Alexander stepping up, throwing deep off the mark, incomplete. Now that's Tater Tots in coverage. We'll call his name a lot today because that guy, he can really do some damage. And you see how just such a small window that Eric Alexander had to throw that one in there. Didn't have much room when you go up against someone such as Tater Tots. That does seem to be the outcome more often than not. Here's a nice little return by Matt Jackson. He brings it out to the Oakland 29-yard line. 4:58 remaining here in this opening. We want to remind you, coming up at the AFA halftime report, we'll go over stats, analysis, and I'll be joined by a very special guest in the broadcast booth for the final 2 quarters of this game. That so far has certainly lived up to the hype. Brady White going back to work, throwing, finds his man Marley, and Marley picks up the first down. Little curl route, and we'll get a chance to see this finesse. Well, look at this. Just decides to curl up and kind of sit right there at the end of that route and wait for Brady White to find him. And you see the day that both the wideouts are having at the moment. First and 10. Here is Brady. Again, winding it up. I love watching this guy in his formations. The motions that he goes through, the 3-step drops, and then he just lets that baby fly. Again, finding his man, Marley, working on the inside of a route right there. And you've seen Brody White trying to go up and either deflect that one or intercept it. But he's just off the mark, and Cush Marley is over 100 yards today. First and 10, 3 receivers to the left. Brady White going down the sidelines again to Marley. And at this point, like the old adage goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Honestly and truly, why would you? I mean, you've got this Cincinnati defense kind of on their heels at the moment, and they just continue to shove, Cush Marley right down their throats, and they've not been able to do anything with it. Ball at the 21-yard line. Clock moving, 3:45 remaining in this second quarter. Keep an eye on Marley as he's moving out right. They go back to the ground. Not seen much of Tangenti in this game today. The Cincinnati defense has done a pretty decent job of clogging all of those lanes. And it will bring up a 2nd and 10 situation. 2 receivers to the top of your screen for Brady White. He looks that way. Instead, he actually decides to go short, connecting with Marley for about a 4-yard pickup, and it will bring up 3rd and 6. See all the black and orange in the stadium today, as this is the first home game for the Cincinnati Bengals. Of course, we know that last season they made their home in New York, and they find themselves here on the Ohio River for season 2. Here's a throw, and Kowalski in traffic, in stride. Sadscat finally gets him down, but not before a 1st and goal. And I think the word that I want to say here that kind of echoes in my mind is the word demoralizing. That is what happens when you get a defense with their backs to the wall in 3rd down situations of that nature, and you cannot come up with the stop. Now, Tangenti fighting for the goal line, going to be about a yard out as they look to pound it in with Ash Tangenti.
Okay, let's go.
2nd and goal. Will we get one more play before they snap here at the 2-minute warning? No, we will go to the 2-minute warning. And folks, you're watching the American Football Association on YouTube. Camera Duty here with you. Live from Paul Brown Stadium. 2nd and goal. Raiders are knocking on the door. Bengals looking for a goal line stand of epic proportions. Brady takes the snap, hands it off, and for the moment, they're going to say he is out. I don't know if we'll get a challenge on that play or not. Right now, it would have to be booth reviewed. But there you see the distance on 3rd and goal. Is it going to be up and over the pile, or are they going to just try to push their way in, or will they go off center? It's Tangenti who goes in untouched, or should I say not tackled. They had him around the waist, but they could not bring him down. And it's a touchdown for the Oakland Raiders. And you'll see right there, that was the only bit of contact that Tangenti ever had to endure on this play. And so late here in the 2nd quarter, Dan Dempsey on to attempt the extra point. It's an 11-point lead for the Raiders, a 9-play, 71-yard drive that took 3 minutes and 24 seconds off the clock, leaving the Cincinnati Bengals with about 1:34 to go before halftime. And what's been up to this point, a surprisingly low-scoring affair. The Bengals still looking for their first touchdown of the day. What can they do with about 94 seconds? On the return, it's Rex Jordan. He crosses the 20 and is tackled at the 22-yard line. If you're Eric Alexander here, you got to be careful with the football. But at the same time, you got to be aggressive. I think you want to do everything in your power to move the ball down the field in these final 90 seconds and try to get some points on the board for your squad. A team that's had some pretty good drives up to this point today, they've just not been able to capitalize. They give it to Arnold Simpson, picks up 3. That's all that she wrote on that play. Now, deciding to go to the ground game here, maybe a little bit surprising. The fact is that ground game has, unfortunately for Cincinnati up to this point, has been kind of non-existent. And it was so prevalent, so featured, so heavily in week 1. We've seen more of a gunslinger type playbook here for Eric Alexander, who throws, and it is tipped away. Van Lacey, the free safety, getting a hand on that one. And this clock is going to stop at 57 seconds. If Cincinnati is not careful, they could potentially give the Raiders this ball back with an opportunity to be aggressive and go down the field and try to put some more points on the board. So an interesting situation we find ourselves in here on 3rd and 7.
Ball at the Bengals 25-yard line.
3 receivers to the left. Here's the snap. Alexander throwing, and he's able to connect to Jaquez. Boy, every time they've needed Santiago Jaquez, he's came up big for them A timeout called as the Bengals are right at midfield, as you can see. Alexander over the 100-yard mark. He's 7 of 18. They're asking a lot of him today. As I said, this has been more of a pass-heavy playbook for Cincinnati coming into this game. And they're either going to let it fly again. Complete once more to Jaquez. A second timeout called as he is trapped in the middle of the field there. Could not get to the sidelines. And that is going to leave us with 46 seconds here in the first half. And an I formation. Alexander, short drop. Finds his man, Jaquez, once more. And a third straight completion to Jaquez, and it is a third straight timeout. So from here on out, Cincinnati will have to run the hurry up and spike the football if they need to stop the clock. 1st and 10 for the Bengals. Inching closer into field goal range. Alexander throws off the hands, wrangled up. There is Van Lacey able to enforce his will on the intended target. And that was going in the way of the tight end, Ace Millie. And you could see he had it in his hands until Lacey came over and, for lack of a better words, just assaulted him. 2nd and 10. Now coming for the Cincinnati Bengals. Here's the snap. Alexander throws on a slant route off the hands of Emmett Ellis. He was breaking free. Ellis wants some interference to be called there, but looks like that was just good hard-nosed defense.
Let's go, Cincinnati. Come on, let's get the first.
3rd and 10. Ball at the 34-yard line.
3rd and 10. Here's Alexander dropping back, letting this one go over the top of everybody. It's Emmett Ellis for the touchdown. Oh, wow. What a play. That may be one of the best throws I've ever seen Eric Alexander make. A beautiful arch on it. Again, let's give credit to that offensive line protecting him. And he places that one just perfectly for the outstretched arms of Emmett Ellis. And he takes it to the house. And with 28 seconds left in the second quarter, and an extra point here, if it is made by Nick Jackson, it's once more a 4-point game. Here's the kick. It is up and good. So Cincinnati responds. An 8-play, 78-yard drive. 1 minute, 6 seconds taken off the clock. A great 2-minute drive. And that is going to give, confidence to this Bengals team that, that they have the opportunity, as good as this rushing attack is, we talked about the dual threat, that they can move down the field in a hurry if they need to rely on the arm of Eric Alexander. As Jackson brings this one out to the 22-yard line. The Raiders' possessions today, well, they've looked pretty well. It's honestly, though, it's been feast or famine. It's either been to the house for a touchdown, or it's been a missed field goal, or the Brady White interception. So the Raiders still looking for a little bit more consistency, and maybe they find it here in this game. Maybe they find it in the final 25 minutes. The Raiders will get the ball back to start the second half. Although you may remember Oakland getting it very early in the game. It's because of the Cincinnati turnover on the kickoff that started this game. That's how Oakland ended up having the first true offensive possession of the day. But the fact of the matter is that as we get one final snap here, and they're just going to dump it off to Ashton Genty. But the fact of the matter is the Raiders will get the ball to start the second half as we get set and go to the locker rooms for halftime, and we transition into the American Football Association halftime report. It's a 4-point game. We will be right back, folks, with the AFA halftime report. Raiders 14, Bengals 10. We welcome you into this AFA halftime show. Cameron Duty here with you. And as we get things started, we'll look at the stats, of course. A pretty even game for this at this juncture. But I want to focus for a moment and introduce you to the newest member of the American Football Association here in the broadcast booth with me. Folks, say hello to Omni. Omni, it's good to have you. Welcome in for the next 2 quarters of this game. How are you today?
I'm doing good. How about you?
It's great, man. As you can see, I know you've been paying attention to the game. Of course, these two teams, these two squads so far, and the Raiders leading by 4 points at this very moment. But of course, as you see the stats, Marley, the leading receiver today, Emmett Ellis finally on the board. We will say that Santiago Jaquez has been all over the place. So knowing these two teams as you do, I'll start off with a question for you. Do you have any all-star players that you expect to have big games? Excuse me, big games here going into the third and fourth quarter.
Yeah, we talk about two high-powered offenses. Um, you look at the Raiders side, obviously Brady White, the quarterback, right? One last season, been in these situations where the game kind of gets tight and you need to make those plays that'll separate you from your opponent. I think he's going to be a big factor coming into the second half of the game, along with Eric Alexander on the other side, throwing the ball. He was the Giants quarterback last season, and he does have some familiarity with some of the players on the Bengals now. So both of these two quarterbacks are going to be very important uh, in dictating not only the offense but dictating how the game is going to go. So look forward to these two quarterbacks as you see Cush Marley. He had some 126 yards already, touchdown and 8 receptions. So big key factors to look out for in the second half.
There you go. Welcome you back in here to Paul Brown Stadium to start this third quarter. Raiders and Bengals up to this point, it has been a good one. And as my buddy Omni just said, expecting this to be more of a continued quarter back shoot. You are 100% correct, as it has been very, very pass heavy. The fact is, Brady White and Alexander, they've both taken these two squads and really kind of put them on their shoulders today. The halfbacks of Ashton Genty for the Raiders and Arnold Simpson for the Bengals have had quiet days. We'll see if that continues or if it changes here and what kind of adjustments have been made during the halftime break, as this is a return by Matt Jackson, and we will get started with this second half. Again, the Raiders getting the ball by way of, as I said before the halftime break, Omni, they went right down the field on that kick return, the opening kick return of the game for the Bengals. They popped the ball loose. The Raiders get the ball. And so, really, in this game, the Raiders have had the first two offensive drives of the halves, as this is a play. Tangenti gets back to the line, nothing more.
Yeah, deep, good stop there by the Bengals D, and that's what they're gonna need to do. It's very pass heavy, so you don't want the running game to get open for Las Vegas. You kind of want to make sure that's cleaned up.
Absolutely. Of course, you just as well as anybody know just how dangerous Ashton Genty can be when he gets free. Here's a little screen pass out of the backfield, and it's read nicely. Green making the tackle. Nothing there for the Raiders. It's 3rd and 10.
Big stop there. Now, if you can get Las Vegas off the field, this will be a big first drive.
So 3 receivers for Oakland. To the right side, here's Brady White looking that way, and stepping out of bounds is Brian Kowalski, who looked like he had some room to run there, but he could not keep his feet in bounds, maybe led just a little bit too far. It's 4th and 10.
Big stop by the Bengals there coming out of halftime. Exactly what you needed now. Eric Alexander gets the ball back, and now they can run with their offense.
As this punt hangs up there pretty high, it's got a good leg on it, and a return coming here by the Bengals halfback Rex Jordan as he brings it out to the 47-yard line. This will be good position here for the Cincinnati Bengals to start their first drive of the third quarter. As we've got 1st and 10 here for Cincinnati, it's Eric Alexander lining up right under center, as he so often does. We don't see him in shotgun too much, and Arnold Simpson is absolutely wrangled, and that will be a loss of 1 on the play.
What a pop there. Made sure his
Yeah,
presence was felt.
46-yard line.
that's been hard hitting, and these ground attacks have really struggled today. There's a forward pass that is going to be contested here with the flag coming. Eric Alexander and this Bengals offense, they like blurring the lines. Let's put it that way, Omni. A couple times we'll see Alexander get very close to that line of scrimmage. Last week, we seen them challenge the fact that he was behind the line of scrimmage, and that challenge was good and benefited of the Bengals. This week, though, they get a loss of 5, as that one was pretty clear. 3rd and 16 coming. Alexander going to step up again. He's got to go deep, and he does. He finds Santiago Jaquez for a heck of a play. Gets all that negative yardage back, Omni.
What a dime. Look at how he stepped inside the pocket, found his receiver for more than what? That was like a plus 17 plus yard gain. Wow,
Yeah.
what a play.
It's a great play indeed, and with Eric Alexander, it's something that you kind of that comes with the package, right? You know he's going to step up in the pocket. He loves getting that forward momentum before he drives off that back foot and throws the football. As we see Simpson get a gain of 8, but also it's risk versus reward. Sometimes he completes a strike like that. Sometimes he gets bit with a penalty. As we come to 2nd and 2 here, you expect them to run it right down their throat here, Omni?
Expected. Oh,
They go with the Bubba
worked.
rig.
Mm.
Thaddeus Bubba rig bulldozing his way out. He gets the first down, and this is a guy I feel like they need to get more active in this game today, Omni.
Yeah, as you can see there, what a play call. Seems like a fullback dive. Oh, skips one defender, runs all the way to the outside, gets a few more extra yards. And now they're very much close to the end zone here.
Just about 20 yards out. Yeah, 21 yards, they'll officially spot him. And the clock moving fast here in this 3rd quarter. 5:30 and counting. Now we're down to 5:25. Here's the snap. Eric Alexander. He's going to throw. That is off the hands of Bubba Riggin. He had room to run. It just wasn't able to reel it in. That one's a tough play there for the Bengals. It's 2nd and 10.
Yeah, missed opportunity. You could see he had grass ahead of him. Could have gone a few yards, maybe even a touchdown, but you live and you learn. You just continue to keep on going.
That's right. You just kind of end up going back to the drawing board and see what you can figure out here. Alexander going to throw against the 3-man front and tries to fit it into a tight window for Jaquez. And down there, of course, is Van Lacey. He's been a wrecking ball today, and it's 3rd down.
I will say, I think that is kind of a fortunate one for the Bengals there. It had 3 defenders on the intended receiver there. Could have been easily intercepted.
Yeah, absolutely. And this side of the field, unfortunately for the Bengals faithful, has already resulted in 1 interception today. This one, again off the hands. He tries to push it in there for Santiago Jaquez again. Lacey doing a good job in coverage. It's 4th and 10. The Bengals will have to send the special teams unit out for a field goal.
Yeah, not what you wanted to the Bengals, but you get closer to taking a lead here, and you would take the 3 out of nothing. So it's better than nothing.
Absolutely, my friend. Here's the snap, the hold. The kick is good, and Jackson tacks on 3. Folks, it's a 1-point game with 5:08 remaining here in the 3rd, as Oakland leading Cincinnati 14-13. This game maybe not going the way that we thought it was going to on the scoreboard. Maybe we expected to see more scoring, but the fact of the matter is this has been a good balance of offense and defense. The defense has really come up big for both of these squads.
Yeah, good, defensive drives for both, defensive possessions from both teams here. But if you're the Raiders, you don't want this to go back to the Bengals without at least scoring or putting up points, and that's the most important thing. So if you're Raiders, you recap what happened the first drive, and you try and adjust to see what you can do the second drive here of the second half.
Matt Jackson brings this one back out to the 26-yard line where Brady White and company will take over. Folks, if you're just joining us, Cameron Duty here in the booth with my new broadcast partner, Omni, as we have welcomed him in to the start of this third quarter, introducing him to you guys. Brady White throws the interception. That ball was short, was not going to even make it to the intended target. And the Bengals, man, the interception woes keep coming for Brady White, and the Bengals are making them pay.
What an interception! I don't think he even looked back here. I don't know if that was. I'm gonna assume that was little bit short by White, but great play by the defensive back there. He just follows his man and gets the interception. Now the Bengals are in prime position to get some points here and take the lead.
It literally looked as if that pass was maybe just a little bit underthrown, enough to give the Bengals a chance to hold on to it or at least get under it and make the big play. Lacey again making a tackle on Bubba Rigg, a gain of 2, and that's all.
Yes, if you're the Bengals, just try and get to the end zone here. If you can get put up 7, that'll come a long way in this game.
Here's Alexander. He's again going to go for that same out of the backfield type of toss play, but DeMarcus Demolition, one of the top linebackers in the league, is there to exploit it. It's 3rd and 8 quickly for Cincinnati.
Yeah, and if you're Cincinnati, I would go back to the passing game here and see what you can find. You have 3 receivers to left here, one on the right.
Alexander with a good pocket. Again, throws to the sidelines, finds Emmett Ellis, and not able to really do anything with that. And kind of a surprise there to see him go to some of the shorter patterns when the slants and some of the post routes have been working so much better for the Bengals as they've been trying to work their way there deep. But how about this? Okay, the Bengals are going to put Nick Jackson out here for a 49-yard attempt, Omni.
Gun. Starting to see if this go in.
The kick is up. Does it have the distance?
Wow.
Hey, it does. And Cincinnati takes the lead from that special leg right there of Nick Jackson. And Omni, I think as much as you've been around this AFA community, I like to mention it in broadcast how essential it is for these teams to have kickers on their squad. And you know what happens if they don't have one? They are a generic that takes their place. Boy, I tell you what, these kickers are really coming at a good price right now for these teams this season.
Yeah, kickers are another part of offense. When you can't get the touchdown, you want to maximize the amount of points you get, and having kickers like Nick Jackson is very important to doing that. So fantastic kick, 49 yards. That's a long kick, but he has a leg for it, knocks it through, gives the Bengals the lead.
And that's why we invite each and every person to come over to the AFA Discord server and create your player. There's so many positions that we're still looking to fill. We're growing each and every day, as that run really goes for nothing. We're growing every day, taking on new players, and these positions, I mean, you can make a huge difference in these teams out here wherever you get drafted to. Not too late to get involved in season 2 as we come with a 2nd and 9 play here, split backs with Brady White in shotgun formation. Here's the snap. White with time, gonna heave it up. The pass complete as he finds his man who he's found all the. Hey, Cushman. So tell me what you seen there on that play that you liked.
Yeah, saw that Cush Marley. You saw what he did before the half, and now look at that. Just another great run there up the middle, beats multiple defenders and gets first down and more.
Here's Brady White dropping back, gonna throw into traffic. Oh, Cam Sadscat was all over that. Lucky that one wasn't intercepted.
Yeah, lucky for the Raiders there to get another possession. Just got to be careful with the ball. Remember, any interception, just like the last drive, you don't want that to happen again. Taking care of the football will be a priority and should be a priority against a defensive team like the Bengals.
Marley goes in motion. White under center. Calling out plays. Here's the snap. Gets back to the line of scrimmage. Not much more. As again, this run defense for both teams have been incredible today.
Yeah, you saw that they brought the defensive backs up a little bit to help out with the running game to stuff them. Nice play call there by the Bengals. Green. He has 5 tackles. Been all over the pitch today. See what the Raiders can conjure up here.
Here's White dropping back, throwing, and it's been Mr. Reliable all day long. That is the one thing that the Bengals have not had an answer for, and it's Cush Marley.
Look at that. Look at that. Beats the defender 1-on-1. Gets first down more in yardage. And the White to Marley connection is reeling.
Boy, that it is. And here is Tangenti again, who just disappears when he hits the line of scrimmage and does not come out with any good results once again. 2nd and 9.
2nd and 9. Ball at the 23.
Here's White. Shotgun formation. One man flanking him to his right. Now the Bengals trying to go in an audible here, changing things up. We see motion by Brian Kowalski for the Oakland Raiders. Here's the snap. It's a draw to Tangenti, who gets close to the first, and he pushes his way the rest of the way. They're going to say he's just inches short of the first down.
Great play call there. You saw that they faked it, gave it to Genti, who had a line drive up the bill, and that's been one of the bigger plays for the Raiders offensively, especially in that running game. Genti gets multiple yards there, almost close to a first down.
Defensive line shifts right there for the Cincinnati Bengals as Brady White signaling for an audible here from Cush Marley. Keep an eye on that. Tangenti to the left side, falls forward for the first down. He needed to just get a few inches. He gets about 4 or 5 yards on the play.
Yeah, just enough for a first down. Moving the clock, moving the chains. That's what the Raiders have done, and it's great job by Brady White to just keep control of the offense and try and get 70.
Tangenti. Now they start looking at the rushing attack, and he's about as slippery as an eel. He gets 7 on that play, and the Bengals are having a tough time starting to bring him down.
Yeah, the Raiders' running game is starting to get going there, and that's going to unlock all other aspects of their game offensively. So, good looks for the Raiders.
Could be the final play of the third quarter here, and it's a touchdown. Kowalski tucks it and runs into the end zone after securing the catch, and the Raiders once again jump out front.
Look at this play call. Brady White looks the other way, finds his man there. Perfect execution there for the touchdown.
Well, I tell you what, that was a great drive, and you made the call, Omni. You said if you are the Raiders right now, you have to come back with a response. It felt like Cincinnati was kind of starting to get some momentum on their side, as Dempsey's extra point is good. But you're right. The Raiders were able to go down with a 10-play, 80-yard drive and retake the lead. Like you said, that was vital to their success today.
Yeah, and it's very important they did this before the fourth quarter. It gives you just more time on the clock, even if it's 6 seconds more, to respond in case the Bengals are to score a touchdown to respond. So, leading to the fourth quarter gives the team a momentum boost, in finishing this quarter strong and potentially winning the game on the road.
Well, you're right, my friend, as this fourth quarter looms large over us here, that when you get to the fourth quarter, it seems like it's gone in an instant. The time just fades off the clock very quickly here, and for the Cincinnati Bengals, down by 5, they start from their 29-yard line. Final play of the third coming. Here is Alexander. He's going to throw off the mark, and with that, Omni, that's how we're going to head to the fourth quarter. We've got a tight one here in Cincinnati. The Bengals, with their first home game in their new stadium, they're trying to upset the Oakland Raiders, who lead 21-16. You're watching the AFA on YouTube. We welcome you back in. Cameron Duty here on the call with you, and I'm joined by my broadcast partner, Omni, here for this final fourth quarter. As we said, the Raiders leading, and the Bengals now trying to mount a comeback. So we start this fourth and final frame. Man in motion, that's Emmett Ellis. And you'll see Tatron Thomas flanking him. Here is a run by Arnold Simpson. He has been well contained today. No gain.
Yeah, that was almost. I want to praise Bengals running back there. That was almost a tackle. That was almost a loss on the play there, but fights for the yard just to get back to the line of scrimmage. So big important uh possession coming up for the Bengals right now.
Alexander with a good pocket, got a throw into double coverage, and on third and long, not able to connect as they tried. That's Harrison, who had an interception earlier in the day. He tried to fit that into a very, very tight window.
Yeah, I don't like that play call there. Kind of forces feeds it, but uh, the Raiders get the ball back with some time on the clock to potentially get another touchdown and try and kill off this game. But for the Bengals here, now you have to rely on your defense. You have to try and get a 3-and-out as quickly as possible so you can get the ball back and potentially retake the lead.
That was the Bengals wide receiver, Katron Thomas, number 24. That was the intended target on that play, and it was close. It got to his hands, but again, that was just some very staggering defensive pressure by the Raiders that jarred that one loose. So as you said, now the Raiders with great field position, they start from their own 40-yard line with a chance to put this one, who knows, maybe even out of reach depending on how the drive goes. One thing's for certain, they look to eat a lot of time off the clock here, and they start with Tangenti with room to run, still on his feet, one man to beat, and he's pushed out of bounds.
The biggest run of the day, and it goes to the Raiders. Look at that run. Look at how he struggles off multiple defenders here. Boom. Look at that. Goes on the outside, beats one, beats another one, and then rushes to the outside. What a play for the Raiders. This is the big momentum driving play. And now Oakland well up well past the 50, I believe. They look well past the 50. Now we'll have that time to they're around, yeah, they're well past the 50. We'll now have that time to see if they can try and get a touchdown and kill this game.
Here's Brady White. He's going to drop back and throw, going for a home run ball. He finds Kowalski down to about the 15. He falls forwards. We'll see where they officially spot him. But this is the thing that is so important, Omni, about this Raiders offense. You can't sleep on them. They can get down the field in about 2 plays or less sometimes.
And look at that. 2 huge back-to-back plays for the Raiders. Now puts them close to the end zone here. And Brady White has done a fantastic job with just mixing up the pass and the rushing game for the Raiders so far.
Indeed, he has, as we see a man going out in motion here. Here's the snap. Brady White not able to really get much there on the ground, as I believe that was Matt Jackson. Couldn't get a really good look at the number, but he just gets back to the line.
Yeah, good stop for the Bengals there. You want to just try and slow down this offense as much as you can. Hopefully, if you can get just 3 points out of this, just still makes it a game where you can compete, because a touchdown will put you kind of out of this. So
Brady White finds his man, Cush Marley, and he is able to get close to the first down marker. And you see the quarterback performance today. Brady White nearing 300 yards.
Yeah, he's been fantastic the second half. Just finding like some Marley and utilizing Genty really well. So now he has a big task here, 3rd and 2. See what he can come up with.
3rd and 2 coming. Tangenti going to get bottled up, and he actually loses a yard. Coming up with a huge play there was the Joker, but that was no laughing matter. He gets a big stop.
Yeah, huge stop there, and looks like they're gonna kick for 3 here.
It does, as they try to tack this on, and this kick by Dan Dempsey is up and good. And so it's now actually an 8-point game in favor of the Oakland Raiders. That was huge to get those points on the board. But, Omni, the Cincinnati Bengals, they've still got a heartbeat here.
Yeah, and a heartbeat they do have. But this is where the fine margins are gonna need to come in for Cincinnati. You're down 8, so you not only will you need a touchdown, you will need a 2-point conversion if you want to tie this game. So execution is key for these next 6 minutes for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, the Bengals may be feeling like their backs are against the wall here just a little bit. It's not been a bad day for the Bengals. Look at their possessions. There's 3 field goals as well as a touchdown. It just seems like the breaks haven't came when they've needed them. And the Raiders have been able to take advantage of the drives that the Bengals have not been able to capitalize, and that really is the difference in today's game. You go back, Omni, to the fumble at the very beginning of this game on the kickoff that the Bengals coughed up. The Raiders got the ball, scored immediately, less than a minute into this game. They've been kind of having to play catch up ever since. Here's a short curl route to Emmett Ellis. He picks up 2.
Yeah, when you're playing catch up, you can't afford to not maximize on the amount of points that you can get from a drive. And I feel like even with the field goals and Bengals coming up points, it's not 7. So if it's not 7, you have to make sure your defense is on point on the other side of the ball.
Emmett Ellis now going in motion. Keep an eye on him. Alexander with a good pocket. Looks that way, batted away. And this Raiders defense right there led by that guy, Tater Tots. Him and Van Lacey have had a great day today. Also mentioning Tatron Thomas, but they've become a no-fly zone out there this second half.
Yeah, look at the play call. They were trying to get the ball in motion there to the wide receiver. Great awareness by the defensive backs to swat that one away.
Alexander again going to throw just off the hands of Ellis. He just couldn't reel that one in. Tater Tots again in coverage. It's 4th and 8. And Omni, I have to scratch my head at the fact that, the Bengals decided to approach this week's game as kind of a quarterback duel, if you will, because they have not really relied on Bubba Rigger, Arnold Simpson, or even Rex Jordan very much in this game. And I think we've seen what happens when they don't.
Yeah, but that's what's gonna happen when you're running a pass heavy offense like the Bengals, who have multiple receivers who can get them yards. Uh, when you rely too much on the pass, you kind of forget the other aspects of the game. And the Raiders, credit to the Raiders, they have done a fantastic job of limiting big yardage, big gains from the likes of Thomas and the likes of Ellis and the likes of Jack West on the other side. So let's see what the Raiders can do here. They have about 4 minutes left. See what they can uh, create here.
Brady White going to just hand this one off to Tangenti. And now the name of the game, trying to run the clock out indeed. And you make a good point. The Bengals, they have some very good wideouts, some very good targets there that they want to go to. The first game of the season, though, they were very run heavy in that. And so they kind of approach it differently here in week 2, trying to go toe-to-toe with the Raiders. Right now, the Raiders with the advantage. Brady White going to throw out of the backfield. Tangenti, what a stiff arm to keep moving forward, keep staying in bounds, and keep running the clock out. It's 3rd and 2.
Yeah, all that was a great stiff arm there. Genty just gets a few more couple yards. That's what you need if you're the Raiders. You need your running back to be tough. You need your running back to be a little bit gritty. And now puts the Raiders in a good position to try and get a first down here.
As we have motion by Cush Marley there. He's at the top of your screen now. Back to Tangenti. Bottled up, nowhere to go. It's actually going to bring up a 4th and 2 situation right here. And so, again, the Bengals will have a chance as their defense responds largely there.
Yep, good, great stop there by the Bengals. They get a nice 3 and out with about, I believe, 2 minutes and 30 seconds to go. So just about enough time to try and go down the field and try and tie this game up. If you're the Bengals, you want to make sure you're not only managing the clock here, you want to make sure that you're able to mix up both the pass and the rushing game to try and get more yards down the field. Because if you over rely on one of them, it's going to be easy sailing for the Raiders in terms of guessing, in terms of the strategy defensively to try and stop the Bengals from getting another touchdown.
Nice open field tackle on Rex Jordan there on the punt. Leaves the Bengals at their 16-yard line. Up the middle they go with Simpson. He picks up 3. And now it's go time for the Bengals. 2:30 remaining in the game.
Yeah, you need fast, quick passes here.
Instead, they go to the ground with Simpson, and now they'll go no huddle, trying to preserve their timeouts as they've got I formation lined up here. Alexander will throw. Has a big man indeed, rumbling down the field as that's one of his Tight ends coming off the bench. They're making a huge play, and it's 1st and 10. Omni, that takes us to the 2-minute warning. Oakland leads by 8, but the Bengals are moving. You're watching the American Football Association on YouTube. Final 2 minutes of this one. Cameron Duty and Omni here on the call with you here in Cincinnati, Ohio. The shadows are growing large here at Paul Brown Stadium. Most of the stadium has engulfed in darkness as you see the edge of the light there. Here is a handoff. That is the big man, Simpson, trying to run for 5. Interesting here, Omni, that they're going to the ground.
Yeah, you see they're trying to mix up a little bit the passing and rushing game, but they always have to keep in mind the clock is always moving. So, got to get your plays off quick.
Here's Bubba Rig. Big man coming. Gets out close to the sticks. 3rd and inches. Now the clock moving. We're down to 90 seconds right now in this ball game. Another I formation lineup coming. Here's the snap. Alexander gonna throw. Tight seam, but he fits it in there to Emmett Ellis. They're moving still, Omni. Quickly, here they come.
Big catch there by Ellis. That's what you need from your playmakers there. As you can see, 250 yards, 16 completions for Alexander, but he has a chance to change that.
Simpson out to the 30, and I don't know if you've seen this or not, Omni, but that was a big stat. Eric Alexander has not taken a sack yet today. Offensive line doing a good job.
Yep, they're doing a good job protecting Eric Alexander here.
Here's the snap. Clock still moving. Alexander gonna throw. Has a man. It's Emmett Ellis to the end zone for the touchdown.
Oh my goodness. Just when you needed your quarterback to show up, look at that play call. Look at that dime. And Ellis takes it in for 6 to potentially give the Bengals a chance for the 2-point conversion to try and tie up this game. Beautiful pass there on the right. Boy, there.
Man.
Tight knitted.
What a bomb and what a dart. Honestly, that's the second time Eric Alexander has found Emmett Ellis in that capacity today. Now here is the play for possibly all the marbles. 2-point conversion. Alexander gonna line up, go with Simpson. They go with the ground attack, and it's snuffed out. And now the Bengals will have to rely on the onside kick. They didn't get the push they wanted from the offensive line there, and you can see the result.
Yeah, just try to stack up the line there, but just great play calling from the Raiders. You could see the Raiders were even ready for it. People were coming on the outside there. You could probably see a great job by Chittertoss there and others to just.
And not to interrupt you, Omni, but Cincinnati gets the ball back on the onside kick.
What?
Oh, wow. Incredible. The ball disappearing into the pile, but the Bengals come out with the football. 47 seconds remaining in this one. The Bengals trying to go to 2-0, and the Raiders trying to keep from going 0-2. Here's Alexander, throws to Jaquez, still on his feet. 6-yard gain, and a timeout's called.
I believe that's their first timeout used, right?
Yes, they preserved them all on that previous drive, Omni.
What a play. What a play for the Bengals to put them in prime position to possibly win this game.
Incredible, and an offense, an offense with an opportunity to move the ball down the field and be the hero today. Bubba Rig with the reception and the first down. They're moving close to field goal range for Nick Jackson. They got a little more farther distance to go.
Yeah, just a little more yards needed.
Simpson out close to the 35. They'll spot him just outside the 36. Here is Alexander. No huddle. Eric Alexander going to be careful with the football. Finds Emmett Ellis inside the 15. 10 seconds left. The Bengals could complete a miracle here. 5, 4, 3. Here's the timeout to win the game, Omni.
What a play. We talked about this connection. Alexander and Ellis, they got it done on a touchdown. And when the Bengals needed them the most, they were able to get it again. Now here comes the field goal for all the marbles.
Here we go. Nick Jackson, the snap, the hold, the kick for the win. It is good. 1 second remains, and the Bengals lead the Raiders, stunning them with an incredible 2-minute comeback. They were down by 8. They missed the 2-point conversion, Omni, but they get the onside kick, and Nick Jackson does it again. 1 second remains for the Oakland Raiders.
What a comeback we are seeing here. The Cincinnati Bengals were down by 8 coming into the fourth quarter, and even
Incredible. And here
incredible.
we go on the run back. Final play for the Raiders. It's a tackle. Cincinnati comes from behind. They will go 2-0. The Oakland Raiders, the defending champions, fall to 0-2. Folks, this Sim League, the American Football Association, you're not going to find football like this anywhere else. Down to the wire, nail-biting action. The Bengals get the victory. Omni, your final thoughts, friend.
Even when the Raiders looked like they had, you know, the Bengals in a good position to win this game, the Bengals never quit. They never gave up. And look at what happened now. The onside kick to get the ball back and the drive to put the Bengals in a position to kick a winning field goal to win the game. What a game we just witnessed here. What a win for the Bengals and what a brutal loss for the Raiders who start the season 0-2, and that's never what you want to do, especially when you're the defending champions.
It's a long way to go, but what a start for these Bengals, and a good thing for the Raiders. Opportunity to certainly turn it around. Nick Jackson, 4 of 4 on field goals today, and he came up huge, winning this one late in the fourth quarter. We talked not long ago, Omni, about the fact that it just seemed like the Bengals were coming up short in this offensive duel between Alexander and Brady White. That's when they were down by 8. All of a sudden, Eric Alexander just silenced any of the doubters with a fantastic last drive.
Yeah, and even though he didn't have his best game today, credit to not only him, but the Bengals offensive line. They never let him get sacked. They never let him feel like, there was pressure on his back. They always gave him, a good amount of time to pass inside the pocket. And that's what you need, especially if you're a quarterback, just that time to be able to pass, to be able to find your man. And that's what the Bengals offensive line did here today. Fantastic work from all of the Bengals offensive team, especially the play calling that we saw near the end. And this is a big win and a big step for the Bengals if they truly want to be in the Super Bowl or
Yeah,
in the bowl come
in the championship
the
game.
postseason.
Absolutely. And congratulations to Emmett Ellis, who is our player of the game with 6 receptions, 113 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the day. Folks, that's going to do it for another riveting installment of football action here in the American Football Association. For our commissioner, Brady White, as well as my partner, Omni, my name's Cameron Duty. We'll see you next time you're watching the American Football Association on YouTube. Have a good night. Thank you.